Welcome back to Dice Pixels, episode 23. Today we're going to be mostly talking about the Game Awards, although there are a few other things later on, so stick around.
Game Awards.
And Al Pacino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did make an appearance.
Hang on, what? Oh, at the Game Awards.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought there was something.
He was the opening award giveaway for the main show.
Best actor.
Randomly.
I thought there was a separate topic of Al Pacino for some reason.
No, he was just there for some reason.
Got it. Okay.
He comes out and he's like, I gotta be honest with you all. I don't play video games.
When they announced him, there was like cheering, but also like it felt confused. Like, what? Of all of the performers that have been in video games, you bring Al Pacino?
That is a little bit weird, yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got a few things to talk about. We're going to talk about the awards in general and why they're pretty stupid, to be honest.
Yeah.
We're also going to talk about some of the specific awards, and I think you guys also wanted to talk about just generally watching it. Yes, there was some problems.
There's some cool game announcements and also issues.
Yeah. I do want to first of all, I do want to start off with, there was a lot of talk about bots having won the Steam Deck giveaways. And although it did look that way, it does not look like that was the case. Basically, the winners were being announced by community ID, which is like just a long number instead of the actual username. They've since actually published the usernames that have won, and they all look like legitimate accounts. So I don't think it looked really bad, but I don't think they actually gave them away to bots. I think they were legitimate users. Yeah,
Steam really shit the bed insofar as how that whole thing kind of worked out.
Yeah.
Initially, the stream wouldn't load at all on their Steam powered page until about 10 to 15 minutes into the show.
Yep.
And then when even the announcements would like freeze, to announce a winner, and then it got to a point where it was constantly these big long numbers, and it's like, oh look, another bot won.
Yeah. There was a lot of sort of controversy around that, and it was all because they did a bad job. What were you?
Oh, what was I gonna say?
I don't know. You did this, which I assume.
Oh, right. Yes. Congratulations, MILF Hunter.
Yes. One of the winners was MILF Hunter, which is
that motherfucker.
I mean, hey, look, on the plus side, at least we know that they weren't like, cherry picking the accounts that won, because I don't think they would have picked that one if they were.
There were some other, I don't remember what they were, but there was a few times I'd look up at it and I'm like, okay, that is a username.
Right. Yeah. So I've got many rants regarding the Game Awards, including the fact that they're garbage in general. But do either of you want to kick something off first, or should I just start being a grump?
I mean, let's start off with, I guess, probably, if you don't know it already, Elden Ring won Game of the Year.
Yes.
Which I am fine with.
Yes.
I am fine with it.
Chad's fine with it.
Because I had said from the start, I even said either last episode or the episode before that if I had to pick my own personal game of the year, it would be Elden Ring. It's a game that I'm still not done yet. Like, it's just so big and expansive, and I felt that it really perfected that their Souls formula that From Software had created and established. Now I know a lot of people will prefer like Bloodborne or whatever, but insofar as this year's crop of games, like, it's either Elden Ring or it was going to be Vampire Survivors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, Vampire Survivors pretty definitively, I would say, should have won. And the fact that it wasn't even nominated kind of shows how stupid the awards are, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So my take on the Game of the Year, and part of the problem with the awards, I'll tell you right now, one of the big problems that I had with them was I went looking today to figure out exactly what criteria they use to judge a Game of the Year. Because I'm like, there's no way that Elden Ring should have won unless it's literally just like what was the most talked about game, for instance, which should not be the best game of the year. That's just the most talked about. They don't publish any criteria whatsoever. They just kind of give a very vague idea of what the category maybe kind of means, and then just post a winner.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of websites and media outlets do that. Well, even with reviews and stuff, you never really see a rubric as to why scores were given this certain way, which is...
And hey, it's their prerogative to do whatever they want to do, but it's my prerogative to call it a bunch of bullshit when they do it. So, like, the fact that I couldn't look up the criteria that they use for judging Game of the Year is one of the biggest problems, in my opinion, because I don't think Elden Ring deserves Game of the Year in really any category, because it's just another Souls game. A very good one, I'm sure, but it's just another Souls game. It's not the most in-depth game that's been released this year. I know that because Dwarf Fortress was released this year. If nothing else, Dwarf Fortress is probably the most in-depth game ever made by anyone. It might have sold the most copies, but that's a shitty reason to make something the best game. Graphics, sure, maybe, I don't know. That's very subjective. It's a good game. It's a great game, but it didn't define a new genre. Nobody's ever going to say like, oh, it's an Elden Ring clone. Whereas I've already heard people talking about Vampire Survivors clones and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that game created a new genre almost. Something like Stray really rocked the world in terms of like the way that they presented you as the protagonist as an animal. Elden Ring was just another very, very good RPG.
Yeah.
And I don't think that makes a Game of the Year. I think that makes it won, I believe it did win Best RPG, or was that?
Yes.
Yeah, because I was going to say God of War also won a bunch, but
yeah.
Best RPG, 100%. Sure, I'll buy that.
Mm-hmm.
But best game, like Game of the Year, I think that's complete bullshit. And more importantly, none of the games that I would even consider to be games of the year were even on the nominees list.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue with just calling a single game the Game of the Year is it's so broad that it's very hard to pick it from there. Like, I think it almost feels like it should be something where you have your best game of each genre type, and then from among those winners,
that could work.
Yeah. And you narrow it down, kind of thing. Yeah,
I could definitely be sold on that. The idea that it's like, here is the best racing, best RPG, best everything. And then of those, this is the best of the best. I could be sold on that. But
Yeah. Yeah. I like, for me personally, Game of the Year to me is just what occupied a lot, like which game I had the most fun with personally.
Sure.
And I also look at like the total package as well. So, you know, you're spending like $80 on some of these games that were nominated, right? And so out of all of them, out of the 5 nominations, which were Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Immortality, and Stray, I didn't play Immortality. That was the only one I didn't play, but Sarah did. Now, I knew right away that Horizon wasn't going to get it. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's a good game, but as you were saying, it's just your typical open world, go to the map spot, do the thing, find another. It's been done.
Yeah.
God of War, while yes, it was really good, and it did take 40 hours plus of my time playing it. Also, I expected it to get Game of the Year at the start of the show when God of War Ragnarok started winning a bunch of awards. I fully expected by the end of the night that Ragnarok was going to be the Game of the Year. But I just, like I said, when Elden Ring came out and the first time I played it, and I was just blown away by not only the gameplay, but just everything, the world that I was in, and how every time I'd look at the map and it was like, well, that doesn't look like a lot. And then I'd get somewhere else and it would open up and it would open up and it would open up. And it was like, holy God.
Sure. So the problem is, though, that most of what you just said would mean that if those were the criteria, then World of Warcraft Dragonflight was actually the Game of the Year, because it's more expansive in basically every way. So like that's where it comes from for me. It's like, Elden Ring was just the latest in a long line of Souls games. And I'm sure it was great. I haven't played it yet, and I'm sure that I will thoroughly enjoy it when I play it. But just like I wouldn't give a WoW expansion the game of the year because it's just a fucking WoW expansion,
Yeah.
I wouldn't give a new Souls game the game of the year unless it did something truly unique because it's just another Souls game. Similar to God of War. It's just another God of War game. Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, it's fun, but it's just another God of War. It's kind of like Call of Duty and everything else. It's like, it's just the new one. It's not a new game. I mean, it is, and it's fun, and I'm not judging people liking it. But game of the year? Come on. That's where I stand on it. I think that it was nonsense. I think Stray was the only one on that list that, in my opinion, was actually different enough and interesting enough to claim game of the year, because I think people will remember Stray much, much longer. Many more people will remember Stray and the games that it influences for far longer than Elden Ring.
And I wonder too if because of, well, one, Stray wasn't done by the AAA, publisher developer.
That has a lot to do with it.
And two, it was a really, really linear experience.
Very linear.
I wonder if that had like anything to do with judging.
I'll tell you right now. Well, yeah, we'll talk about that. We can talk about the judges in just a minute because that's also from. I'll tell you right now, one of the biggest problems I have with the Elden Ring thing is that I could have told you when it was released that it was going to get Game of the Year.
I don't think any of us would argue with that.
Yeah.
I pretty much said that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we all agreed. Like, it's one of those things like, yeah, it will get Game of the Year. Whether it deserves it or not, it's going to get it. If Cyberpunk hadn't had so many bugs that it was unplayable, it would have gotten Game of the Year that year.
Yep.
And it might conceivably have deserved it, although I somewhat doubt it. I didn't play it enough to know, but
I actually don't know if it would have gotten it because it was released later in December. It was released close to Christmas.
That's fair.
But I think like with the upgrade to the next gen version of it and how it's like a complete game, I'm surprised that wasn't put in a contention for this year, because the next gen upgrade came out this year.
So, and that's sort of one of my things where I think that's, for instance, why World of Warcraft never gets considered for these things. It's like, well, it wasn't released this year. It's like, well, no, but the expansion was.
Yeah.
No Man's Sky, I was playing it on Thursday with my buddy Aaron, and it is a completely different game now. But it wasn't released this year, so obviously it's not in the running for anything.
Yeah.
So, like, that's fine. That's whatever. Again, their rules, their show, their rules, whatever. But I don't know. Just some of the nominations in categories just didn't make any sense at all.
Or some categories just didn't make sense.
Well, I was going to say, why don't you lead us on to the next bit, Sarah?
Best esports athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, quick disclaimer. Athlete is a bit of a strong word to use for this, but at the same time, athlete is defined however you want. I don't consider esports an athlete. I don't think anyone at this table does, but if you do, that's fine. But there's more than just the fact that it's like the esports athletes. Like, how many categories were there? 7?
Esports athlete, esports team, esports coach, esports event, and then the game itself.
So 5.
Yeah.
For esports.
Yeah.
And arguably I would say 6 because they did the best influencer.
Yes.
Which in reality I think is in the same category. Which, by the way, Ludwig was a weird choice for that. Not a bad choice, just a weird choice. But yeah, like, what are your thoughts on the esports awards?
I mean, okay, so I think athlete, first off, is the wrong word. Like, obviously, they are highly specialized in the games that they are playing, and they are amazing at them. There is no denying that whatsoever. Athlete is just a weird word to choose.
They don't feel any more like athletes than a cellist does.
Exactly. Yeah.
They are players.
Yes.
Yeah.
Players.
But
I don't consider myself Wayne Gretzky when I pick up a freaking controller
and play hockey games.
Yeah. It's like, no, I am
a weird
a player.
Yeah,
but I find the categories themselves, like esports athlete and esports team and coach, like, how do you judge who the best is of that unless you're in the rankings? And then it's dependent on each game itself versus overall. Like
Yeah, well, we talked about this a little bit earlier, and I think we all feel pretty similarly about this, but definitely, like, my comment on the esports thing was basically, if it's a metric driven thing, like if there are metrics where I can point to and say this is why this person is the best, then you don't need the award because they already have that standing. I mean, you
and
can
the money from it too.
Yeah, like I guess you can give them an award, but it's dumb. It's pointless because if it's already predetermined by metrics, then the award is stupid.
Yeah.
And if it's not predetermined by metrics and it's subjective, then that's also stupid because it's kind of like and I know I'm sure these exist. I'm not a sports buff. But like that's the same as sort of coming up with the best athlete of 2022. It's like, well, we can talk about the best football player, the best, hockey player, the best baseball player, but the best athlete, does that include golf? Does that include, like, what the fuck are we talking about here?
Does that include Olympic lifting and powerlifting?
How do you compare a race driver, like a race game driver, or an NHL player to a first-person shooter? Now, I'm willing to bet that these only include first-person shooters.
Valorant. I think they're all people that play Valorant.
Sure. In which case, bullshit. Like, do other esports not count? Like, I don't know. Esports ones in general are stupid. The esports coach is especially dumb. I think that's all nonsense.
Yeah. I didn't care for any of it. Actually, I felt the best category out of all of these was best indie. All 5 games that were nominated for the best indie of the year, Cult of the Lamb, which was an insanely fun game. Yeah. Neon White, which I never had a chance to play, but is being reviewed quite well on the Switch, and it's coming out for next-gen consoles soon. Sifu was an amazing martial arts fighter. Stray, obviously, which was the winner for best indie. We've talked about that. And Tunic, which in my opinion is like a homage to the old classic Legend of Zelda games. Yeah. Those are all great games. And any one of them could have won that award.
Those are good nominations, yeah.
I would have given it to either Sifu or actually, you know what? I can't even decide.
I think if we do our best to look at an objective measure, I think of those games, Stray generated the most buzz. Buzz, and also not just like upfront hype, but like back end hype as well. Like the number of YouTube videos about Stray after it was released and people had played through. It's hard to be objective about best of anything. Yeah. But I think of those games, I think giving it to Stray makes a lot of sense. But I will say one of the biggest problems that I have with this awards show in general, they have their reasons for not counting fan votes for very much. Fan votes count for no more than 10% in any category, which they say is because certain games are only available on certain platforms, and it wouldn't work because even the best game ever on a PlayStation exclusive would never get enough votes, which I'm not sure that's a good reason, but because as far as I'm concerned, that's part of the game. If you want to make it an exclusive, guess what? You might not win Game of the Year, so fuck off. You have made
that decision. You got to sleep in that bed.
Right? But fine, like that's their reasoning. But the nominations aren't even fan-driven. So like some of these categories, you look at it and it's like the best game isn't even in the fucking nominations for this category. Yeah. This is just stupid. Yeah. And then you go and look at the jury, which I did, and a lot of them are reasonable things, but they have people like CBC and Vice in there. And it's like, those aren't gaming. Like CBC has never written a fucking article about gaming. I'm sure they've done like Christmas list games and stuff, but like they're not a gaming site. Why the hell are you bringing them into a jury? Like what the hell? Yep.
Yeah. Like something like this, you want like, people in the journalistic gaming media. I'm going to say people like Victor Lucas, who a Canadian fella who for the longest time has been the host of the Electric Playground and Reviews on the Run, which used to air on Canadian television. Now they just all run from his YouTube channel. Yep. But a guy like him who is well known in the industry has a huge vast knowledge of like just games, because it's his job, right? Well, like I want people like that.
And again, your jury should be nominated by the fans. Yeah. Nominated and selected by the fans.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, of course they should. Why the hell aren't they?
Yeah, like and like there's enough smaller independent review companies like, well, they're not even necessarily small, some of them, but like something like The Escapist, like they've built their platform off of gaming, so why shouldn't they?
Total non sequitur, but to help make our point here, so just like yesterday or day before, they announced the people that are going around the moon. The I believe it's a Japanese fellow is paying to send people around the moon, and he just picked content creators and like influencers and artists from around the world. And Tim Pool, the everyday astronaut from YouTube, is one of the selected people. He's going. And that's fantastic because he is probably the best space journalist that is alive today. He doesn't work at fucking any company that's recognizable, but he's the one that everyone would pick to go, because if you want someone to report on this event, he's obviously the right choice. And the same is true for gaming. I wouldn't have picked 90% of the juries that they have, jurists that they have, let alone the fact that they've got over 100 of them, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. And the game pool that they've pulled from is so narrow too. Like the only place other than like where Stray and those sorts of games were in there were games for Impact. And I looked through this list. It's a memoir Blue, As Dusk Falls, Citizen Sleeper, Endling, Extinction is Forever, Hindsight, and I Was a Teenage Exocolonist. Those games are literally all on my wish list, with the exception of Endling, because it looks like it will break my heart. Yeah. But like the game pool this year has been so excellent. Like, why is this only down to about two dozen games?
This is the problem that they have by not making it fan nominated and fan voted, because they have to send all of these games to their jurists and have these 100 people that they've picked play these games, theoretically. Yeah. Play these games. Yeah. And then vote. And it's like, well, there's your problem. What you should be doing is going to the community that's already fucking played these games and asking them what they liked. And if you think that a PlayStation exclusive is going to not get enough votes because it's an exclusive, then make a separate category for it.
Yeah. And there is a player, they call it player's voice, but it's basically player's choice.
Yeah, which is...
but the thing is that I think tells more of what the game of the year is, because it would have been, I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, I'm probably wrong, but I think it started off as gamer nominations.
I think so.
And based off of that, what game of the year should be is Genshin Impact.
Yeah, well, and apparently there was some controversy around potential botting of that vote, but regardless, at least the set of nominees for that were probably more pure. But notably, that game, from what I saw, didn't appear on any of the nominee lists for anything.
I think it was. Yeah, it was on something else for music.
Oh, okay, all right. Well,
I'll look it up. But
fair enough. But like, if that's what the world thought was the best game, then why isn't that on like 8 out of 30 of their lists for nominees?
Best ongoing, and you had him.
Yeah, I have an opinion on that too.
And best mobile.
Ah, there we go.
Best mobile. Oh, it's a mobile game.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Best ongoing. So first of all, they picked Final Fantasy 16? 14. I'm not a Final Fantasy buff, in case you wondered. As far as I'm concerned, the series ended at like 7. But I don't doubt that it has great ongoing support and everything else, and that's wonderful. But the fact that World of Warcraft was not even on the nominee list shows how completely fucking stupid these award people are. World of Warcraft, community support aside, because there's a separate category for that. The fact that World of Warcraft is not on the best ongoing list, or something like, I don't know, what's the game I'm thinking of that's like a 2D RuneScape?
Oh, yeah.
Which has been going on for how many decades?
Yeah. Or EVE
Online. Like, the fact that those are not on the ongoing list is like, okay, so this is just a list of people who have bribed you to be in your awards show.
Like Destiny 2, with the amount of...
With a lot of the bad publicity Destiny 2's been getting, they need something.
Right.
Because like their latest season just dropped, and it's literally recycled. They took 2 previous seasons, recycled crap, and just combined it into one.
Yeah.
You know what I just realized isn't on here either? Overwatch.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yep.
Overwatch 2 just came out. That's a
Yeah.
fantastic game.
Yep.
Like,
Fortnite's
was it even
on here.
Did they even? Was that even like down
not
for best
anywhere
multiplayer?
I don't want to get into any trouble for libel or anything else,
Yeah.
but
yeah,
but
multiplayer.
this list of games, with the exception of maybe the indie category, reeked of bribery to me, because
Mhm.
most of the games that belong on these lists are not there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which means one of two things. Either it's because they're, well, okay, one of two things. There are probably other explanations, but either it's because they reach out to somebody like Blizzard and say, hey, do you want to be on the list of games of the year? You'll have to give these people a subscription for
Mhm.
however long. And WoW says, like, no, fuck you, we don't need you, which is entirely possible.
Mhm.
But then again, that's exactly why you need to make this fan-based, not jury-based. Or this is a list of people that have given them money.
Yeah.
Those are the two that seem most probable to me. But yeah, the entire thing seems like a bit of a sham to me. And very few of these categories are, I mean, the fact that God of War won so many of them seems
Mhm.
pretty suspicious as well. Because there were a lot of other games that could have won those categories.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out how like Mario Rabbids wins best sim strategy.
Oh, I know. I was
when you have
confused.
like Total War, Warhammer 3, and Dune Spice Wars, and
Yeah.
even 2 Point Campus
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
in that category. Like I don't
Yeah.
get it. But
Yeah. It's
Well, and also to some degree, how Elden Ring wins best game of the year, but God of War wins like 4 times as many awards.
yeah.
yeah, like 6
How does
awards.
that
I think.
work?
I don't know.
I don't know. The entire thing struck me like I'm all for game awards and everything else, but this particular seemed really, really badly done. And I don't know if it's because of the jury or because of the format or what. And also, they need to stop calling it game awards if they're not including anything but video games.
Yes.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier too, because when you see the game awards and it's like, okay, well, there's been a lot of really good board games that have come out
Tons
Yeah.
of them.
this
Yep.
year. Where's the category for that?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's-
Oh God! And trying to pick one board game again, you run into the issue of different
Which genre?
categories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I was very disappointed. I didn't expect to come away from the Game Awards being like, oh, that was a good use of time, but I was especially disappointed this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thankfully, we got a whole bunch of premieres and announcements and all
yes.
kinds of fun
Yes.
stuff it just takes that whole like, it just kind of levels it out just ever so much, you know?
It's the halftime show.
Hell
it makes
yeah.
it worthwhile.
Yes.
And you know it's going to be good when you start it all off and the first thing you see is Diablo 4 comes out June 6th, 2023.
Can I just start off with the Diablo by saying that I'm a little surprised they actually gave a day?
Yeah.
Like I expected June.
Yeah.
I was figuring June or July, but the fact that they said June 6th, I'm like, that's ballsy. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, if it was closer to like 2026, it would have been 6626.
Ooh.
That's
well,
probably why they chose 66.
now they need to delay it.
Yeah. Please don't. Please
Actually-
don't. Oh my God.
That's 6 and then 2 times 3 is 6.
I nailed it. Nailed it.
Oh, I should be wearing my 666 hat.
Oh.
The moon
Well, when
landing
you
was
play,
fake. The
you're
moon
gonna have
landing was
to-
fake.
I knew the release date was coming, man. I've told you all along.
Yeah.
But you know
so
what
that
else
was
is
cool.
cool?
Was that?
We can play Vampire Survivors on our phones now.
Did you say you were grumpy
Hypothetically.
about it because it
Yeah,
sucked?
we're both
or-
grumpy about it,
sucks.
actually. It's not great.
The control, like, so
I haven't-
it's
I haven't tried it.
Vampire Survivors, but the touch controls are really sloppy.
Really sluggish. Yeah.
Is this something that would be easily fixed with one of the game controller cases or something?
Yes.
Probably, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think if you could, and even probably using a Bluetooth controller, but I
Yeah.
mean, at that point, just play it on your laptop or your computer.
No, I agree with that. I just wonder if they maybe kind of knew that the touch controls weren't going to be
Mhm.
stellar and just figured that people would use because there are people who are serious about gaming on their iPhones and stuff do often have some sort of a controller.
Yeah,
attached
like
to
the
it.
backbone.
The responsiveness just isn't it's not as quick because
That
like
doesn't surprise me.
I don't know, like when you swipe the other way, it seems like it takes forever for your character to just kind of like turn.
Yeah.
And with a game like Vampire Survivors where like movement has to be like quick.
Yeah.
They'll
hopefully
probably improve it.
Yep.
God knows they've done a pretty good job of being supportive.
I mean, and yeah, on the 15th we're getting new DLC already,
which is
$2.
which is another game that I might have talked about for the ongoing category.
Oh
by the
my
way.
god, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely a group that when they put it out in open beta and they just kept improving and improving and improving and improving.
Talk about value for money.
Yeah.
Yeah, like great. Absolutely great.
Yeah.
There was a preview of a game called Hellboy Web of Word. Actual Hellboy the comic, and the graphics look like the comic. It looks fantastic.
100% looks like Mike Mignola's art style.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I don't think I'll be able to stand that, but there will be a huge number of people that will love it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I hope it comes to Game Pass because, again, it's like one of those games I'm interested in, but I don't know if I want to pay top dollar for it.
Sure.
With the worry that, the trailer looked really good and the graphics will look good in a controlled setting, but will it run nice? And / will it make me feel sick or something? I don't know.
I feel like that might be a good game for, I think I might enjoy watching somebody play that game.
Yes.
I think that would be a good streaming game.
That'll be a game where Chad's playing it and I will sit on the couch and watch him the entire time.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll probably play it. I like the art style and the cell shaded look with the...
For sure.
So that'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
Horizon, some new DLC for Horizon. The Burning Shores, Horizon Forbidden West, comes next on my birthday.
Yes.
April 19th, 2023. That comes out. So
she's going to Hollywood.
She's going to Hollywood, yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. Yep. So more Horizon. Hopefully she's got some personality now because she was, basically
very one note.
A brick wall had more personality than the main character.
I've never played the game.
Yeah.
She was more feisty in the first one. She had more character growth in the first one as opposed to the second one.
Yeah.
Fair enough. What's this viewfinder?
So
I didn't actually see it.
Yeah. You remember what I was talking about with Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, where you rotate the camera so it's kind of like that. You're in a little bit Escher-esque, so you might be interested in it. It's traveling. It didn't give it a full idea of what the goal is. It might be just kind of a little bit like a walking simulator and puzzle solver, but you have to, if there's pictures on a wall or something and you orient yourself a certain way, it builds a pathway in front of you to keep going. So it's
that's cool,
right? It looks very, you have to think kind of outside of the box to solve things.
I'm into this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. That looks very cool. Viewfinder, the Steam page, I just opened it up and it in the first 30 seconds of the video is pretty clear what you're getting into.
Yeah,
I'll check that out for sure. That looks cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then Scars Above. I played the demo actually. It was in one of the I think it was in the last Next Fest that Steam had. And the main character looks weirdly like Lara Croft. Very much like Lara Croft, but it's
Kara Loft.
Yes, it's Kara Loft. And she is no longer aloft. There's a spaceship crash onto a planet and there's some weird funky stuff going on, and it was neat. It was cool.
Fortunately, nothing bad ever happens in space.
No problem.
Just watch the Alien movies.
Yeah.
Nothing bad happens there.
Well, no, the alien gets kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
That's the only bad thing that happened.
Yeah. Cat survives though.
That's right.
Yeah. Yep.
You're super excited about Hades 2, yeah?
Hell yeah. Hades. Okay, so Hades 1 was my game of the year when it released. I think it was 2020 that came out. That was my game of the year. It was that and Ghost of Tsushima. Mm-hmm. Hades was an amazing roguelite. It had an incredible story of trying to break out of, you're the son of Hades, trying to break out of the underworld to find your mother. And holy crap, what an amazing game that was. Hades 2, the trailer blew me away. And the second I seen Supergiant Games, I was like, oh, this is going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you seen the art style, you're like, oh, this must be a new Hades. And I'm like, shut up. They're not going to do that. Hades 2. And I'm like, they did that. Yes.
Nice.
So yeah, that one's got me jacked. I can't wait for that one. So
cool.
No release date, but they're going into an early access, I think in the spring of 23. So
Cool. Judas from the same guy who did BioShock. Is this the one where he went on for like ever in his acceptance speech? Or
No.
This was just one of the previews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a preview. That was Christopher Judge that went on forever.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, Teal'c.
Yeah, I'm rewatching Stargate right now, actually.
I've been thinking about it.
I decided to pull the trigger. Prime Video has the MGM package for $4 a month.
Oh, that's not bad.
But the first month is free, and it has all of the Stargate. So little pitch for MGM
You know what
package
else?
on Prime.
Don't forget, there's that Stargate RPG that we definitely need to try. The TTRPG.
The TTR. Yeah, no, I do want to try that. Yeah, for sure.
Anyway.
Yeah. So anyways, Judas. So what is Judas?
Well, Judas is, it looks like it's another first-person adventure from the people that gave you BioShock, the series, the BioShock series.
Mm-hmm.
They've started a new development studio called, I believe, Ghost Story, I think is the development studio name. They have a great track record of making really good quality games. If anybody's played BioShock, they should know the little twist in that. And same with Infinite. I'm not going to spoil it. Go play it. They're great games.
The twist is that everybody's dead and the boy can see them.
Yeah. So yeah, that'll be one to keep an eye out.
Cool.
I don't give a crap about Destiny 2 Lightfall because they burned my bridge and that's going to take a while to rebuild.
Chav did an amazing thing today. Well, wouldn't say amazing. It was stunning. It was, yes, there we go. That's the word I'm looking for.
He deleted Destiny 2.
He did. Yeah, I was like,
did.
what is going on right now?
Yeah,
Mark that moment in history.
Right?
I'll tell you, I don't care about Suicide Squad, but I know someone who probably does.
I hope that it's good. And this is Kevin Conroy's swan song as Batman. It was the last thing he did as Batman. So when they had the trailer play and Batman came in, and all you heard was, "I'm vengeance. I'm the knight. I am Batman." And then it was
that was the very end of it. Yeah. And,
so I'm hoping that this is good. It's being made by Rocksteady. They did the Arkham series, so I am quite sure it's in capable hands. Yeah. And then Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So let's talk about Star Wars Jedi Survivor and why it's probably going to be terrible.
Can I just interrupt for a second? Because something just occurred to me. So the guy who is the main character in the Star Wars Jedi things.
Played the Joker
in the Gotham games.
In Gotham.
Yeah, sorry, in Gotham, the TV series. And these came, like, the previews were one right after the other.
Yeah.
Yes.
Love it. Love it.
Anyway, sorry.
I don't know. I just feel like they're trying to make a cut rate Star Wars movie into a video game. And that's going to be horrible.
No, not necessarily, because Fallen Order was fun. Fallen Order, it takes the Souls formula for the Star Wars game, right?
But keep in mind that this is Disney.
Yeah, Fallen Order was too.
It
was
really?
Too. Yeah. I thought that was...
It was EA. EA's making the game, and Respawn. Respawn, they've made Titanfall, and a lot of the developers at Respawn did the early Call of Duty games.
Sure.
So they've licensed the Star Wars to EA, and they're making games independently.
So they have control over the story as well?
I don't think so.
Yeah, see, that's the story that I think is going to suck. I'm assuming. I mean, I watched the new Star Wars movies, which is my reason for thinking that it's going to suck.
So Fallen Order, the story in Fallen Order was really good.
Yeah,
it was really, really good. If this continues Cal Kestis' story, great.
All right.
The gameplay was really fun and tight. So, yeah, I'll be looking forward to that.
All right. I hope to stand corrected.
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
Yeah. I think it's far enough off the path of the stories that they're telling in the shows and movies that they won't be bothered by it too much.
Yeah, maybe.
Or they'll start incorporating little bits of it into their canon.
Oh, let's hope not, because that would destroy it instantly. Yeah. I mean, you saw Solo, right?
No,
he didn't.
Okay.
He was spared that.
All right, well, watch Solo, and then you'll understand why I think.
I will not let that movie be played in our house.
No.
Except for all the scenes with Donald Glover in them.
Okay.
Because he's amazing. He's really
you
good.
just said you don't want that shit played in the house.
He is an excellent Lando Calrissian.
Just rewatch Community, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I've already done that twice, but I'll
Yeah,
do it
me
again.
too.
He needs to watch it.
Yeah, Community is pretty great.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope Stan corrected then. I just assume that anything new Star Wars at this point is going to be garbage because Disney is the worst. But hopefully I'm wrong.
Like I said, this series has been like Fallen Orders was really, really good. I'm pretty sure fingers crossed it'll be more of the same. So
Cool. What about first person magic shooter?
Yeah, I highlighted this because
this.
Just the concept of it sounds really neat. It's called Immortals of Avum, and what it is on the package, it's first person shooter, but you use magic. So looking at the trailer itself, it kind of made me think of like Destiny a little bit, but
all right.
Yeah, you're like a freedom fighter or something like that, and you're using magic to fight, obviously. So I don't know, it sounds kind of a different, interesting twist on a first person shooter. Whether or not it will be long lasting is another thing. It might be just one that's popular for 2 weeks and falls off the radar again. Who knows?
That never happens with games.
No.
That sounds like it'd be up my alley. I am so story time. It'll be a short one. Did you watch Now You See Me, the movie about the magicians?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you remember the scene where dude is flinging flash paper like fireballs in real life, where he's with the FBI agent that turns out to be their helper, and he's like winging fireballs at the guy, and he's just hucking flash paper.
Yeah.
Ever since that scene, I've been obsessed with the idea of like actually using like magic. Obviously, in games you can do for real, but like the idea of actually just being able to huck fireballs like it's nothing and just like take down your enemies. It's actually that scene that like made me completely obsessed with playing mages in first person shooters.
So that's why you kept throwing the cards at me when we were playing Magic the Gathering.
Yeah. It had nothing to do with losing.
It makes sense. But you said fireball.
Oh my God. I still want to, at some point, we need to arrange to do a proper LARP game where like you actually huck stuff at each other and
oh my God. I would love that. I've never LARPed before.
Neither have I. And it's one of those things that for a very long time. Oh, well, of course he did.
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Oh yeah. I assumed he had. So anyway, for anyone who hasn't LARPed, and you would know far better than I would, and there's obviously many different types of LARPing, but for a long time I kind of wrote it off as just like a little too out there for me. But then I read about an actual like camp experience, like an adult camp experience where you go and you do a LARPing weekend, and I thought that would sound really cool. And like you essentially play a mix of like paintball and dodgeball for the weekend, except with all of your like magical spell slots and stuff. And I'm like, that sounds so fucking fun.
I want to go to adult summer camp.
Right? So
they don't have a bouncy castle. They have a castle.
Yeah. So someday we need to arrange that. Either do one ourselves somehow or go to one or something. Because the idea of like that sort of fast-paced magic, because like things like Skyrim, I don't like mages because it's like I'm gonna charge up my fireball, and I'm like, if you're a mage that's casting fireballs every fucking day of your life, are you really telling me it takes you 3 seconds to cast a goddamn fireball? Why can't you just huck them off like it's nobody's business?
Yeah. Yeah,
because they have the bar that builds up right below them.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Yeah. It's the progress bar. Yeah,
I would almost want to make that. It'd be like fireball. Ha!
Get one of those tubes that do that.
Well, you could just like sew some EL wire into your sleeve that lights up.
There you go. I like that one.
Until it malfunctions and it just starts doing Kit, like from Knight Rider.
No, a disco
and then you
mage.
just have nothing.
Yeah. I can't do that, Michael.
So if it's a fast pace, the fact that it's a first person sounds like it'd be up my alley. But.
And more magic.
Oh, nobody cares about Baldur's Gate 3. We can ignore it.
Okay.
Diablo 4, again, nobody cares about it. Nobody's going to play either of those two games. I'm certainly not going to play either of those games.
Oh, definitely not.
No, I'm not. I'm not going
Ugh.
to take time off work to play either.
I mean,
of
I can't
those.
believe they have a Diablo IV. Like, I'm not going to pump it in my veins.
I'm like,
Actually,
what?
that's surprisingly appropriate. I had not considered that.
Yeah.
Oh, now I just want to get an IV bag and just stick
Diablo 4 hanging from it with like a controller port plugged
Well,
into your...
now we know our thumbnail.
Well, we might have to make a T-shirt before anybody beats us to it. That's Diablo 4, hook it to my veins. We might have to make that shirt before anybody beats it. Now that it's on the web as
it's
well.
out there
No,
now,
we'll cut
so,
this out.
yeah.
Oh, okay. No, we won't.
Snip, 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 snip.
So Transformers Reactive. So when this trailer initially played, I actually thought it was Titanfall 3. Because the whole trailer basically takes place with a bunch of humans looking at the Transformer, and you're the Transformer looking out, and they're repairing you.
Oh.
And then you stand up and you look at your hands, but then that's when it just showed Transformers Reactive, and I'm like, or Reactivate, and I'm like, wait, what? This is a Transformers game?
Interesting.
Yeah. And the entire time we're watching it, I'm like, this looks really cool because it's like, it's during a war on Earth somehow. And these are like kind of refugees trying to repair the bot. And I'm just like, this looks cool. This looks cool. And then when Transformers come up, I whipped around and looked at Chad. And I'm like, what is this?
I'm apprehensive. I want to see more.
Yes. Yeah.
I want to see more. That wasn't enough. So you developers, let's go.
Yeah.
Well, I would hope at some point there's going to be an entire game that you can see.
Hopefully.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
And if it looks actually good and worthwhile playing, maybe the three of us will be playing together because it's a 1 to 4 online action game.
I was going to say you kind of buried the lead on this one because it's a 1 to 4 player co-op game, which I think we all know how I feel about co-op games.
Yeah.
And if we don't, I like them.
Yeah.
So
it'll probably be one we'll play together.
And I like machines, and I like beating up both machines and people.
Yeah.
This game sounds like it could have some things for me.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of online co-op, I want to bring this up. Remnant 2, they announced as well. My boys in my sweet boys, my other clan that I'm in, Boogie, Were Rooster. We played Remnant 1, and it's like a co-op shooter, and holy crap, it's hard as hell, but goddamn was it fun. And they're doing a sequel to that, so boys, we need to keep an eye out on that one.
What's the my voice just went weird again. Remember the last time we did that, Adrian? Corporate doesn't like that.
Dagnity!
We didn't think you were bored.
Did you ever play the game? I can't think of what it's called. I'll cycle back to it, but you it's a drop pod where like you can play with up to 4 people, and you drop into like an alien hellscape and just like fucking unload through a map to like hit certain objectives, and that's like the entire game.
Doom?
No. It's like a top-down 3D.
I know what you're talking about. I can't think of it.
I'll think of it, but I saw just not that long ago that it had a DLC, and I'm like, I haven't played that game in so long, but it was an awesome couch co-op.
Well, then
I'm gonna find
it.
I'm gonna find the name of it. But, sorry,
Outriders.
Hell Riders.
Outriders.
No, it's Helldivers.
Oh, Helldivers.
Helldivers.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's the game I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's almost right. That triggered it in my brain, but that's not right. Yeah,
Outriders sucked.
Helldivers.
I just wanted to bring that up because
that sounds
one,
fun.
The first one, I had fun playing that with my boys. So
cool.
Yeah.
Do we want to go through these other 3?
Yeah, at least one of them. Banishers Ghosts of New Eden. There wasn't a whole lot in terms of what the gameplay or really what the entire thing is. It looks like it's a action RPG, basically where you're in Scotland, someplace.
Nice.
Yep. Or at least northern.
Fireball! I'll take you all to hell. You're a great day you passed me, Kel.
I'm sold.
Nice. I'm not in the game.
When we make a Dice to Pixels game, you are going to be in the game.
Nice.
You are the game.
Yeah.
Hey.
You can voice all of the NPCs.
Oh, well, no. I'd want Sam to help me. I'd want Sam to be a part of that because Sam's great.
Anyway.
He's so great.
So this Banishers game It looks like it's a kind of either a guy's a monster hunter or like ghost hunter type thing. And
Why can't I be both?
sure.
I'm a gonster hunter.
A Gonster. That's the name of our game right there.
Gonster hunter.
My weapon is what's underneath my kilt.
Okay there, champ.
Boogity, boogity, boogity.
Yeah, that sounds kind of fun.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it's something I'm not entirely sold on because it was just like with Chad with the Transformers game.
They don't tell you much.
They don't tell you a whole lot, but it's something that I was like, oh, this looks interesting.
Mhm.
Keep an eye on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One that I don't know how I feel about it. I highlighted it simply because of the people that are in it. It's called Crime Boss Rock A City. And I believe it takes place in Miami and it's in the 90s. I know that much. But here, let me pull up the names.
It's basically Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it struck me as kind of Grand Theft Auto, except basically just the 90s in Miami as a video game.
Yeah.
Which I think is Grand Theft Auto. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if it does it right, like, great. I mean, we've seen,
Yeah.
you look at Saints Row. Saints Row took the same Grand Theft Auto formula and they did their own thing with it and it was fun.
Yeah.
So,
The only thing that makes me wonder about it is I hope they don't rely too much on the fact that they've got like the 90s stars in it.
yeah. Especially Vanilla Ice.
Yeah, Vanilla Ice is in it.
Which is cool as long as they don't rely on that being their only thing.
No, you're playing as
It's going to be Ice Ice Baby and Ninja Rap, the whole friggin'
yes.
whole game.
That's all I want.
That's it.
That's all I want. Michael Masden is the main character.
Yeah.
And these are all 90s stars that they have de-aged dramatically. And it's Michael Masden. And then there's also Danny Trejo, Kim Basinger, Michael Rooker, Danny Glover, Damian Porter, and Chuck Norris.
Well, I've never
Why
heard of
isn't Chuck Norris the main character?
I don't know. He was like just at the end of the trailer. It was just him like turning. He was dressed as a sheriff, turning around, doing a roundhouse kick, and it just said,
You know,
So-
Chuck Norris once pissed into a transport truck.
"Yeah."
That truck's now Optimus Prime.
Well, I was just going to say, in keeping with that theme, I'm pretty sure that by being in the game, Chuck Norris is in fact the main character.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
fact, the game it's called Chuck Norris City. So
That sounds right.
The
Yeah.
Chuck Norris story.
yeah,
Yeah.
You want to chuck your Norris.
Cool.
So nobody cares about I can confidently say that nobody in the entire world cares about Final Fantasy 16.
Nah. Looks like trash.
Yeah, if there is one thing Final Fantasy is known for as a franchise, it's being bad games with no plot and small, really restrictive game worlds that nobody likes and have terrible graphics.
I'm sorry, but you're actually kind of talking about the first beginning part of what originally Final Fantasy 14 was like.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was
Really?
actually really bad before, apparently. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Well,
but
all jokes aside, I'm actually really looking forward to Final Fantasy
So-
16.
So I'm not gonna lie, I might play this. It's been
Same.
so long since I've played, and like I joked earlier that
Obviously.
the franchise ended with 7 for me,
Yeah,
and that is actually kind of true, but not because I think the other ones are bad, just because I stopped playing them,
Mhm.
and like everybody keeps telling me like, oh no, you'll love them, they're amazing, and I'm sure that's true.
yeah.
I don't know. I'm a pretty big sucker for RPGs and Final Fantasy in general.
So-
I did try the FF7 remake and that was, I mean, I enjoyed it, but it was pissed me off.
I liked it, and I think they're basing that battle system. That's going to be the battle system. It looks like in Final Fantasy 16.
I don't mind the battle system.
Yeah.
I enjoyed every aspect of that.
It's
Except
just the
that it
fact
didn't
that
have
you
a world
already-
map.
Yeah, and you're only playing in like Midgar.
Yeah,
Like you're in that city, which essentially in the original Final Fantasy 7 is like the first
2 minutes, not more than that. But
like a half hour,
Yeah.
40. The not even like 10% of the game.
It wasn't even just that. Like I would be okay if it had just been Midgar, but the fact that it was so linear and there was no, like, it wasn't a Final Fantasy game at all. There was no open world. There wasn't even a closed world. It was like a linear playthrough.
Mhm.
Mhm.
and they called it a Final Fantasy game, and it's like, well, that's insulting.
Yeah.
So as long as this isn't that, I'm on board.
Well, I think based off what little bit that I saw Chad playing in Final Fantasy 15, it will probably it'll probably have some elements of, like, 15 seemed very, very vast and open world. But I think it'll probably be like that with some of the strengths of 7.
In fairness, I think the only Final Fantasy game that I'm aware of that didn't have some form of open world to it was the first part of that remake. And everyone hated that. And so I'm sure that won't be a problem with this. I enjoyed every other aspect of the remake. It's just that it's like, cool, when do I get to the actual Final Fantasy part of this game?
Yeah.
And it never came.
Yeah.
And that was bullshit.
I think 16 actually looks like one I'll actually play, because I've only ever played a little bit of the original 7 and then some of 14. But beyond that, I've never played Final Fantasy.
Yeah, 4 and 6 are still my faves. I remember released as 2 and 3 in the States here for the Super Nintendo. But they're my faves. I grew up with them, and 6 especially, holy crap, that's such an amazing game.
North American 1 and 3, so 6 are my favorites.
Yeah.
I don't know, FF1, was it actually
Nintendo?
Yeah, but in Japan, was it actually FF1 as well?
Yep.
Yeah,
and then they released
I thought so.
2 and 3 were for Nintendo Famicom releases as well that never made it over here. But well, you can play them now.
Emulators,
well, no, they did re-releases.
Oh.
I think for the PS1.
Oh,
I think they did re-release versions of them. So
I've played them on an emulator.
Yeah.
I mean, I would never do that. I thoroughly enjoy 3 as well, but 1 and 6 are my favorite.
Yeah. And like, honestly, part of the reason why I watched the Game Awards was honestly for a lot of these announcements, these new game announcements, building hype, because I can tell you right now, I'm definitely not looking forward to that new Legend of Zelda, that one most anticipated.
Oh my God, that was nonsense.
I am more looking forward to like Diablo 4 or Hades 2 or Judas, Chuck Norris City.
Yeah,
like,
telling me that more people are looking forward to the next Zelda game than the next World of Warcraft patch or Diablo, or I'm like, fuck off.
Yeah. So
just come on.
Yeah.
Anyways, I am looking forward to a few of those games.
So it looks like there is a lot of stuff in 2023 to look forward to, and that's just from AAA studios at this point.
And the indie scene just keeps getting more and more ridiculous in a good way.
Yeah, I am like, there's games there that I'm like, yeah, this looks cool. But it needs to be worth it. Again, like I've said, I need to be able to get my money's worth out of a AAA game, whereas like indies are cropping up all the time with amazing storytelling and gameplay and graphics, where I'm like, I'll give you $30. I'll get my time out of this 100%. Easily.
I just got
71 cents, but
I just got a new RPG on Steam called Chained Echoes, and it's a brand new JRPG with like a 16-bit style that reminded me of Chrono Trigger. So you can see like where you see all the enemies on the map. You don't like have random battles. You run into them and you fight them. There's no changing screens. It starts right there.
Cool.
And it looks good. You can pilot mechs in it and stuff. So I'm looking forward to playing that. But again, it's like another little indie title that caught my eye much more than, How
did it catch your eye? Where did you first originally see it, Chad? I'm asking for the story of how you bought it, because that was ridiculous.
So initially I seen it on the PSN store, and it was like $35. And I asked Sarah, I said, do I get this on this? And she said, well, check it out on Switch. So I pull up the Switch. It's $29 on Switch. I'm like, not sale either. I'm like, wow. So then I thought about it, and I'm like, So I opened up Steam. $24 Canadian on Steam.
Yep.
Bought it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's now on my laptop. So
I think that's partly because Steam takes a smaller cut.
Yeah.
They sell it cheaper.
Yep.
So we're at time here.
Oh,
I
shit.
did not realize that we were going to go on that long about the Game Awards. There are a couple things that I want to mention before we sign off here. Do either of you have anything high priority that you want to talk about?
Britney Spears Monopoly.
That was the most important thing I wanted to cover.
It's amazing.
For true gaming aficionados, there is going to be a Britney Spears Monopoly. I don't think it's a limited print, but I do expect it to sell out everywhere instantaneously. There's probably going to be riots at stores. So
I mean, some places legitimately will sell out pretty fast.
They definitely will. Make sure you pre-order it. Possibly wear some sort of protection when you go to pick it up, because I mean, people will mug you for this.
Man,
game.
if I get it, I'll look at them all and go, "Hit me, baby, one more time."
Perfect. Okay. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, just because I actually said at the beginning that we would talk about it, and we're not going to talk about it much today because we're at time. We will go into it deeper in the future. But I did want to say there's the Microsoft Blizzard deal going on right now, and the FTC is suing to prevent it, which is in and of itself kind of interesting news. And we'll probably talk about it a little bit next week, maybe. But the interesting thing that came out of this was Microsoft said, and I forget all of the details here, so I'll give you more, or you can look it up on your own at a later time. But Microsoft has committed that if the deal goes through, they will make one of their flagship games available on Nintendo for 10 years, which is very interesting because it kind of proves what we were talking about the other day, where Microsoft clearly does not consider Nintendo a competitor in the gaming sphere.
Mm-hmm.
They consider their competitor Sony and only Sony.
Yep.
Which is pretty interesting.
That'll be good.
So with that, I think we'll sign off. Take us away, Chad.
If you like what you see, please hit that thumbs up button, give us a like, and tell us in the comments, what do you think is the game of the year of 2022? What was your top game? What took most of your time? What did you have fun with? What did you enjoy? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, tell us how wrong we are.
Yeah.
We love that.
Yeah.
Also, if you haven't, check out our Discord. It's a great way to stay in contact. We have a wonderful community there. You're welcome to join. I mean, you just hit that link. I mean,
yeah, especially you.
Yeah.
Be our friend.
Yeah. And on that note, we hope you have a good week.
And we'll see you next free.